Alright, let's talk about the most broken hero in Dota 2 right now, which is Lycan. He got very slightly nerfed in 7.28A, but that hardly even matters. So what you want to do as Lycan is you want to start out in the fountain, sending out wolves right away when the game starts, scout out what your opponents are doing, what kind of lanes they have, and then you can, in this case, he's going to be mid lane, so if you're in mid lane, you want to wait here for a bit, and then you want to summon wolves in time to block, which is about 12 or 13 seconds before the creeps spawn. That's what the Xcalibur is going to do here in this 9k level game. So wait for the wolves. Now he summons wolves, runs forward, and it's going to be in time here to block, but at the same time also have full mana once he actually gets to the lane. So these two wolves are very important that we block because Lycan is a very small hero. He's a lower collision size than most heroes, so it's hard to block. So having these wolves to help you out is quite important. And you see, even with those wolves, he doesn't get the best block off. So he's playing against Invoker here, which means he's going to have a fairly easy time in lane. He's going to have superior last hitting capabilities, at least at the start, because those wolves add a lot of damage. And so it's just going to be a very calm lane. We're just going to try to last hit and deny as much as possible. And the Invoker is going to try to do the same. And Xcalibur is going to come out mostly on top here. So as far as starting items go, you want to start out with double Sage's Mask and a Quelling Blade, and then if you lose no gold, you have 120 gold left at the start, which means you can buy a branch and then a mango or a fairy fire. Here in this case, Excalibur lost a couple of gold in the pick phase, and so he went with double branches. And then after that, you just go straight for your Necro. So he gets the Belt of Strength here as soon as you can afford it, and if you're in the lane where you need some extra regen, of course, you bring out extra regen like a salve and maybe an extra set of tangos or whatever you need in that lane. But here against Invoker, he's fairly confident he just doesn't need an extra regen because he already gets a good amount of regen from Fell Impulse. This is a pretty good matchup for Lycan. Invoker's not easy to kill, but he also can't stop you from farming. And so you can see it's 5 minutes coming up. He's sending his wolves to try to deny these runes. He denies one here, but the other one gets picked up by Pudge, unfortunately. Here, the lane is not in an advantageous position, and it's night, so he feels kind of unsafe. So he's just gonna go and farm a jungle camp here. And also this time when he gets delivered a Necro here, he also wants to clarity up, so he's just leaving the lane here for a short period of time, and then he's gonna come back here once the lane is pushing in with that catapult wave so his tower doesn't take any damage. And meanwhile his creeps are doing this ancient camp here all by themselves. Notice he's pulling back the Necro Archer and Necro Warrior here so that he doesn't die and can keep outputting the DPS. And so he also found this illusion rune which allows him to take this camp as well, so he's just maximizing his farm here. And this camp respawns, so he can do this as well with his Necro units. He's no longer the piercing damage, but they're still quite strong and can farm quite well. And he takes out this hard camp twice, ancient camp, as well as this easy camp here, all the while not losing too many lane creeps. So this kind of move is what allows him to really accelerate his farm. He already is pulling far ahead on last hits, and net worth is also at the top spot, and he just wants to keep farming here. If there's a hero that's like easily killable, you can just try to go for a kill here, but Invoker in this case doesn't have any levels on Vex, but it's hard to actually know that. So here in this case Invoker is actually vulnerable, but if he has any levels in Vex, there's a lot of things that Invoker can do to extricate himself, and you don't really want to buy detection if you don't have to. So he's just gonna win this lane by just farming a lot and not really using his shapeshifter at the start. Which usually, whenever shapeshifter is up, you want to use it ASAP, try to get a fight, but here in this case, there's no real good fight to be had. So you don't want to put your head through a brick wall. If there's no good fight to be had, you just go and farm. And Lycan actually farms quite fast. And this is what we're going to see here. It's 7 minutes and 50. He's already flying out Necro 2. And he's going to keep up the farm. He's going to push out this lane. He's going to do the triangle. He went for a value point here of Howl at level 8. Our level 1 was significantly buffed in the last patch, so usually you want to go for a value point in that at level 8. This gives you a huge amount of armor reduction as well as damage reduction. And also note that Howl is also centered around your wolves in the 2000 radius. So even if your wolves and necro units are doing some split pushing, you still use Howl to help them out, to speed up the farm and also make them take less damage. Xcalibur is just pushing out this middle lane, preparing to do some more jungle camps, but then he sees Invoker show up at the top lane, and this is his trigger to start pushing this lane. Now you're gonna hit this this tier 1 tower, do as much damage as possible to it. It also has his 2 supports rotating in, so he's gonna prepare to take a fight, but TP is cancelled, so they're just gonna go for this tower, and indeed they do get a tower, including the tower last hit gold, so he's further accelerating his net worth here. And so now it's 940, and the Necro 3 is already flying out here, so this is an incredible timing. This is pretty much the ideal early game we would have as Lycan. He has the ultimate available, so if they want to defend this tower, then they can take a fight here. They also have Brewmaster ultimate, so they are very much in prime fighting shape in case they do want to defend this tower, but looks like the enemy team is just wants to trade for bottom. Bottom is still at max HP, so they can take this top tier 1 tower thanks to the damage up from Lycan, and still actually defend their bottom tower. So now they're in a really good position. Big fight is going on here, and this fight looks like it's going to take a while, so he can actually TP in there, use his ultimate, and participate here. It's not ideal because the Necro is still on cooldown, as well as the Wolves, because you used them earlier, but they do win this fight, and in this case, the TP didn't actually really do anything, but you can't know that in advance, so it's a very reasonable TP there, and first usage of that actual shapeshift. So if you're in a passive lane like Xcalibur was, you want to just rush the Necro 3 ASAP, and not really throw in any items in between, except for maybe like a Clarity or something. And then after that, it's really, really powerful if you go for over Corrosion and over Venom. These 2 items stack together, and together they give you a 26% slow on targets that you hit, which is incredible. You don't want to delay your Necro 3 there for that, so just get Necro 3 first. Also, like if you're in a lane where or in a game where you have to fight very early, you can't farm as much, you might even think about going for this over Corrosion plus over Venom after your Necro 1. But ideally you just want to go Necro 3 first and get that farm advantage going. And then he follows it up with Treads. Treads is generally a strong item, also going to help you just be more efficient with your Tread switching. So here they try to actually kill him 3-on-1, but he just used ultimate, and he's just going to kill 2 here. Also, of course, with the help of the team coming in now at the end. And now he actually survives, but there's a ultimate coming in here, which is just gonna hit him on this little sliver of vision here. That's really, really unlucky. And this is what you want to do. You want to play very fast tempo as Lycan whenever you have your shapeshift up. You just want to play very aggressively. You don't just want to sit back and farm after you get this Necro 3. You want to put on the tempo and force the enemy to react to you. So they have this Wraith King who did go for an armlet build. So he has gone for a fighting build. If he went for Radiance, they would be overrun even more. But yeah, they want to play high tempo here, TPs to the mid lane, and gonna take this fight here. Viper tries to TP out, almost makes it, but dies here. That's the incredible damage output from this Lycan. And then leave the Wraith King for last. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go after the vulnerable targets, not these big, juicy tanks here like the Wraith King. You want to go after the vulnerable targets here. In this game, that's going to be the Nature's Prophet, the Viper, and the Invoker. These are the targets you want to hit. These are sort of squishy ranged heroes. You want to go after those because they're very fast to get to choose your targets. And while you're in the ultimate form, they can't really kite you properly, so you can always go after the back lines. And when you're pushing out this dead lane, you need to be very careful. You don't want to go here too far. And he went for this greedy camp here. Initially, his reaction was actually just go back here, but going up here actually gets him killed because there's 3 heroes waiting. But you see he's not really pushing out this lane here. with his hero, just with his Lycan Wolves or with his Necros, because this is the most dangerous lane in Dota if you're Radiant, so we don't want to be here unless you absolutely know it's safe. Team are winning a fight up here. They just got the Pudge, and so it's just gonna come in here, run with the ultimate form. You wanna ult early if you come into this fight, because ultimate has some transformation time. So they get that kill, and now they can just go after Roshan because they got 2 kills, and they have Lycan ultimate anyway, which does means they get some extra bonus damage from those crits. Roche right away, and also importantly keeping his wolves alive because these are a big part of the damage output. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's 19 minutes and 20 seconds, and we have an AC. So it's less than 20 minutes. We have Treads, AC, Necro 3, over Venom, over Corrosion, 13,000 net worth in less than 20 minutes. This is peak Lycan performance. And it's not even like an ideal game. We did die twice, but just with the incredibly fast farming that you can do as Lycan, this is perfectly possible if things go like reasonable. It's not a perfect game, but it's a good game. This is what a good game looks like, and that's just part of what makes Lycan so powerful. And in addition to that, like Lycan, even if you don't get this huge amount of farm, you still can do a decent amount. Even if you're kind of behind the network, you can still do quite a lot. As long as you get your Necro 3 the reasonable timing, you can still do a lot, even if you're not top of the net worth. But if you are top of the net worth, you can just really control the game. And also note that this is just not a game where it's Stomp or anything like that. They're only like slightly upper net worth here. It's just like Lycan's having a good game. The rest of his team are not actually having a good game there. This Morphling is not doing all that hot. This Brewmaster is not doing that great either. So it's really just him basically carrying the team for now. By the way, note that Nature's Prophet has gone for a Crimson Guard, which is generally a really good item against these summon heroes because of damage block. But as Lycan, you have this Necro Archer which can purge, and you can actually purge off the Crimson Guard buff, unlike the Pipe buff. And they even have like other forms of Dispel here in this lineup. They have Brewmaster with his Storm Ruling can Dispel, and Ench with her Enchant can Dispel. So there's not actually that great of an item here, this Crimson Guard. And so they're just gonna keep pressuring here. They still have the Aegis here, and they're just gonna do some damage here, but the enemy team responds. And this early in the game, if anything actually is there to respond, you can't just push high ground. So you can push high ground if they have like 2 down or something, or if it's just not in position, but if they're all there, there's no real force in this high ground. You just go back and farm, control this triangle, and just try to further their lead. So after you have these items, you generally, after AC, you want to go for either Abyssal or for BKB, depending on the game. Here in this game, he's just doing really well. He just wants to hunt people down, so he goes for the Abyssal, but oftentimes you're going to have to go for the BKB here. He also actually went for the Shard here. So you can see he has a wolf here in every lane, basically. Like every time a creep spawn, a wolf is going to appear in one of the lanes. Going to help push out the lane and give you potentially a little bit of extra gold. This is not like that great of a shot, but you know, it's going to help keep the lanes pushed. So I'm not sure it's actually worth it at this stage. Honestly, I think you probably are better off just completing your core items like that Abyssal and so on, and then getting a shard maybe later once you're basically 6 slotted. But here's just I guess experimenting with the shard. One of the big reasons why Lycan's win rate is so high in this patch is that it wasn't really changed very much fundamentally. He just was buffed, but there's no like big change to Lycan. Lycan still plays pretty much how he always plays. You have this same basic idea. You want to farm your Necro at the start, and then you want to fight whenever you have Shapeshift, and farm when you don't have Shapeshift, and you just rinse and repeat over and over again. So it's a pretty straightforward plan. But if you just follow this and your team keeps following up behind you, then you can push quite well and either try to end the game early, or here in this case, they have like a clear position 1 who's going to scale into the late game and outscale the enemy team, this Morphling. So here, if you can't finish the game early, your job is to sort of carry the mid game and make space and so on, fight for the team, which then allows the Morphling to be able to carry the late game. So they go for this kind of fight here, which is not going too well, and he dies. This is what happens occasionally. The enemy team makes a good rotation. They actually also have the Aegis, I believe, still. Yeah, they still have Aegis on Invoker here, so they win that fight. But in the meantime, our Morphling is farming and our Brewmaster is split pushing at top, so this is of course not good, but at least this minimizes the damage. Now the enemy team is here at the gates. They have to TP back, and Lycan unfortunately doesn't have buyback. Because he kind of went for this, like, a little bit greedy here, to go for Boots of Travel right away. So he doesn't have buyback, and actually in quite a bit of trouble here, trying to not to lose this tower. Brewmaster is trying to do what he can to delay this, but ultimately they are going to lose this little Rex, and so from what looks like a really good position, they're actually kind of losing now. They lose some of their net worth lead here, and they're going to lose actually the first lane of Raxes. And they still have 40 seconds left on this Lycan, trying to buy some time, but just keep dying here. And this is really not ideal, and it shows you how it can easily throw a game. By the way, notice what item Xcalibur is not going for. There's no Helm of the Dominator 2. So when this update first came out, a lot of Lycans were actually experimenting with Helm Dom 2, but the item's actually not that great. It costs 6k gold, and getting an Ancient Grip is nice, but it doesn't actually do that much. It's not enough to justify the 6k gold investment. You really want that Necro 3, that's much more important. You want that AC, that's much more valuable than extra creep here. And after that, you just want Abyssal and BKB. Like these 4 items are your core. Necro 3, AC, BKB, and Abyssal. These 4 items want these items ASAP, and after that, it's still very flexible. And after those items, you actually can go for the Helm Dom 2. You can do pretty much whatever you want after that. But these 4 items are kind of non-negotiable in the vast majority of games. By the way, look at the talents here. You take the Feral HP region at level 10, at level 15. Now there's an actual choice here, and he actually went for the 75 Shapeshift movement speed talent and the level 20 Feral Impulse damage. So in the past, you always went for cooldown reduction and shapeshift duration, but now the other talent is actually really attractive, so it's an actual choice here between those two. At level 25, we went for the shapeshift critical strike chance. I'm not sure I agree with that. I actually think most of the time the 2 wolf summoned is better, unless you're going for Aghanims. He is not going for Aghs. Speaking of which, this is actually a pretty decent Aghs game. Morphling, of course, is gonna lose his range when you cast this on him. But this is still just a very powerful Aghanims on Morphling, getting that more than hasted movement speed, and getting a crit and lifesteal is going to be really valuable for Morphling. So I think actually Aghanims would be the best item here. And we talked earlier about those 4 items. Like Aghanims is kind of like the wild card. You can go Aghanims basically after every one of these 4 items. You can just go Necro into Aghanims. You can go Necro AC into Aghanims. You can insert Aghanims at any point. It's always going to be great if you have like a other core in your team that's really going to benefit from that. But in this game, he decides not to go for that. At least not yet. But they have all these items now. They got the cheese, they got the Aegis, even got the shards here on that Brewmaster. So they go for this high ground push, and it goes quite well. At least so far, but now that the ultimate is running out, they have to be a bit careful. So we can already see him disengaging. Doesn't want to go too deep here. And And they lose the Aegis now. And there's still no ultimate. But with the Abyssal and the Butter Travel, they actually can do a decent amount here even without ultimate. But now they kind of have to retreat here. And looks like they do. So yeah, this is a very disciplined play. Very nice here. They got a bunch of buybacks here. And they make it out. And then it's back to split pushing. And preparing to get another fight here. One of the shapeshifters is going to be up. Now it's very unclear what item you actually want to go for next. And it looks like here he's decided to go for the Swift Blink. So what Swift Blink does is it's the agility version of Blink Dagger. It of course still has the regular Blink stuff and the 25 agility from the Eagle Song. And then after you teleport you get 30% phase movement speed, 40 attack speed and 40 attack damage. So Lycan is a hero that has very low attack speed naturally. So this might actually be the better upgrade here compared to the overwhelming Blink. And of course it's a really efficient use of a slot, because that's the last slot you have basically, unless you want to replace the boots, which on Lycan you can. And yeah, this phase movement is also very important, allows you to phase through all these annoying treants and the skeletons and such. And also allows you to walk through your own units. So in this kind of very late game scenario, Lycan is no longer as strong. Really, the time to shine is between when you finish your Necro 3 and about like 30 minutes. That's when Lycan is strongest. Here at this stage of the game, even though he's still top of net worth, it's really more about this Morphling here than about the Lycan. The problem, of course, is that all those summons kind of fall off in the very late game. So now you kind of have to rely more on your own right clicks as a hero. And this is, of course, not Lycan's strong suit, but in this very late game, you have to kind of go for that. So we'll try to defend the high ground here with their morphing down, morphing action or buybacks. So they can do this fight and blink forward. Gets one kill here, but Shapeshift is no longer gonna last for very long, but it's enough to kill the Wraith King. So they got 2 kills here for a buyback on their carry. They want to get more, and indeed with that dagger they get more. Extra mobility, of course, is very powerful here. That's why I went for the dagger. And notice, by the way, that only now that it's actually like fully slick slotted does he replace the Quelling Blade. That's because he's playing his Nature's Prophet. In most games, obviously, you replace the Quelling Blade much earlier. Lycan just doing some split pushing here, but actually walks into enemy team and tries to play out of his way out of this, but there's no BKB available, no ultimate, so he's just gonna die. That was a bit goofy. Bit of a smoke gank here leads to a fight, and they pick off one hero and second hero fullest quite quickly. And yeah, Swiftblink is now online. Actually doesn't have buyback with this. It's kind of a bit risky. You definitely need to have buyback, and he fights a Viper here. But unfortunately the reinforcements don't survive. Or like the TP from the reinforcement don't survive, so Viper, oh actually they do find him. There we go, and that should hopefully be a kill. But there's no ultimate, nothing here from Lycan, and he's actually now, because of his greed, a couple of gold short of buyback. Okay, but his team wins the fight anyway, so now they can go and push. While he was dead, his team was doing Roshan, so now he gets Agnus Blessing as well as Refresher Shard, which is a really important item for him because it's all these cooldowns he relies on. He has this Necro, he has Abyssal Blade, his BKB, and of course, most importantly, his Shapeshift. The enemy team is going for the push, and they will defend this. Great initiation here from our Lycan, and just try to do as much right click as possible. But they have buyback, so it just comes in again. Should be using Boots of Travel, I think, to get in there. But just uses the Refresher Shots, and it's gonna go in here again. And it's just something you have to do something in the late game. when you get to this very late game stages, just have to use all the advantages from Aegis and buyback and everything to try to win a fight. And they will eventually win this fight. Prophet possibly makes it out of there. Actually kind of missed E-Blade there from Morphling, but it doesn't matter, they win the fight anyway. And Prophet also being killed, so now they can actually go and push the advantage. A lot of heroes down here, but there's no buybacks left now. Everyone is bought back, and yeah, as Lycan here, you can just do your blinks in. You can use all these initiation tools that you have from Abyssal and from Swift Blink to close the gap, and especially when you're not in your ultimate form, so you don't get kited. But here in this game, they do manage to win out, and yeah, this is the end of the game here. And yeah, this just shows how powerful Lycan is. He like totally carried that game for them, and all the rest of his team was not doing well in the early mid game, on the mid game, but he carried them through the mid game, and eventually, with the combination of super farmed Lycan and this Morphling, they were able to win the game. And yeah, definitely do try to spam this hero. He's one of the most powerful heroes in the game. You can play him mid lane, you can play him safe lane, you can even play him off lane, and yeah, it's just super powerful. Go get your MMR while it's hot. So there's going to be a casual stream on Sunday where we're going to be playing Gothic, the classic German RPG game from the early 2000s, one of my favorite games of all time. And then on Monday, we're going to be back with the regularly scheduled Dota stream. So hopefully I'm going to see you there.